a frustrating chore or some unexpected worry, and it all just seems so random.
Hmm.
Well, today we're ripping up the entire concept of randomness. This deep dive is for you, the learner, who wants the shortcut to, understanding the cosmic operating system that makes your life perfectly tailored.
That's right. We are stepping into what the sources call the NAF-centric universe, or the NCU.
And the idea here is that this entire reality, everything you see, is basically a high fidelity simulation.
It is. It's a simulation designed for one singular purpose, your cognitive development.
Our sources call everything we experience an apparition, a phantasm, a carefully constructed environment. So, our job today is to use the ultimate rulebook, the governance manual, specifically the 10 elements of Dean, to decode what's really going on.
We're moving beyond just the surface-level observation, what the framework calls SIDQ, to get to the deeper operational governance truth, Al-Haq.
We're going to take your real world examples, chores, anxiety, that new phone you might want, and map them directly to this governance protocol.
And we'll try to explain this operating system the way, a truly great scientist explains the laws of physics in the simplest terms.
Okay, so let's jump right into the center of it all. The NCU, everything revolves around the NAFs, which the framework designates as CANFs. What exactly is this core thing we're trying to polish?
The NAFs is your persistent cognitive essence. It's the real you. And the best analogy for this whole process is that the NAFs is an uncut diamond.
An uncut diamond.
And the universe you perceive, the apparition, is a customized incubator for one NAFs. It's built moment by moment to provide the exact conditions for this diamond to achieve its maximum brilliance.
I like that. But, diamonds are polished by friction. So if the NAFs is the diamond, what in this framework is providing that necessary, and let's be honest, often painful resistance?
That's where Iblis comes in. Now, you have to forget the traditional idea of a monster.
Right.
In the governance framework, Iblis represents your inherent cognitive flaws, your biases, the self-sabotaging thoughts, the mental shortcuts, all the predilections built right into the NAFs.
So it's not external, it's internal.
It's the essential internal resistance required for the polishing process. Think about it. If you had no flaws, you'd have no need to change, and therefore no growth.
It's like the resistance setting on a cognitive treadmill. It forces the NAFs to actually exert effort. That makes a lot of sense.
That does.
Now, let's talk mechanics. If the NAFs is the operator, how does it interact with the physical world, which is itself an apparition? I mean, where does the brain fit into all this?
Your body and brain are what the sources call a governed biological interface. That's another apparition for the NAFs. Think of the brain as the hardware running the simulation.
Okay.
And there's one specific piece of hardware that acts like your control panel, the locus coeruleus, or LC.
The LC. I know that from neuroscience, it's involved in arousal, attention. How does the governance framework see it?
It's your personal reality highlighter. Or you could call it the highlighting console. And here's the crucial insight.
Yeah.
Your focus, which is controlled by the LC, doesn't just passively observe reality. It actively governs which aspects of the overwhelming field of possibilities become visible to you.
Whoa. Okay. So it's not just finding reality, it's selecting it.
It selects and amplifies paths that are in cognitive harmony with whatever command sequence the NAFs is currently running.
That is profound. So if my internal command sequence is driven by a deep-seated bias and a Iblis command that says the world is unsafe, then my LC console just highlights every news report, every suspicious look.
Every potential threat, exactly, it confirms the command. Your reality becomes hostile because that's what you've programmed the highlighter to find.
So how do you fix that? How do you break those faulty Iblis commands and stabilize the console?
You need a disciplined input, and this input is Salat. This is what the framework calls the NAF's programming language.
Wait, calling Solid a programming language is a massive recontextualization for a lot of people. Can you unpack what that actually means functionally?
Of course, Salat is a continuous process of disciplined focus, of acquiring knowledge, and of command stabilization. It's not just a ritual. It is the structured, non-negotiable methodology the NAFs uses to check in with the governor, the source of truth, and receive corrected operating instructions.
So it's like a system diagnostic and update all in one.
It forces the NAFs to clean the input channel and maintain command integrity, regardless of whatever chaos is happening in the apparition.
Okay, let's take that high-level view and bring it right down to the most grounded, maybe even boring parts of life. Daily chores.
Perfect example.
The surface level observation, the ASED, is just, I'm cleaning the house and cooking food. What is the al-haq, the governance truth, embedded in that?
This is where the framework makes the mundane spiritual and cognitive. These chores are direct operational protocols for NAF's development, just disguised as everyday tasks.
Mhm.
Let's start with cleaning the house.
Why is cleaning mandatory for the NAFs?
Cleaning the house metaphorically represents emptying your cup to receive new knowledge. It's the core principle of Pillar 1 of governance decision-making. Initiate salat.
Acquiring knowledge.
Yes. You have to rid yourself of all that internal cognitive cluttered assumptions, obsolete information, entrenched bias to create the space for pure new knowledge to enter and actually be effective.
So cleaning is literally creating cognitive silence. It gives dusting a whole new urgency for me.
It should.
Okay, so the house is clean, the cup is empty. Now we move to preparing and cooking food.
Preparing and spicing the food is the process of acquiring knowledge itself. This maps directly to the intricate 7 stages of knowledge acquisition that the framework describes.
Can you give us the shortest possible definition of those 7 stages so the analogy sticks?
Sure. It's the transformation from a raw concept to a fully integrated schema. It starts with salah. That's the initial raw idea, like raw ingredients. It moves through stages of testing, refinement, integration, until you reach anshana, the evolved, refined, cognitive schema. Cooking is taking raw, difficult concepts and refining them through effort and discipline until they become palatable and useful.
So if I burn the curry, it means I rushed the refinement process. I skipped necessary steps in processing the raw knowledge.
Precisely. And consuming the food is the final step.
Right.
Nourishing the nafs.
Right.
This nourishment enables the nafs to control its zaj, which, in this context, refers back to iblaze, the bias.
Ah, I see.
When the nafs is nourished by pure knowledge, it can govern that bias and then redistribute that purified, effective knowledge. And that redistribution is called zakat. The whole kitchen cycle is a self-governance lab.
That transitions perfectly to how the NAFS deals with external apparitions. Let's look at the psychological ones, like worry and fear. A traditional view just calls this anxiety.
Right, but governance reality sees it differently.
So.
Worry and fear are often just symptoms of a systemic failure, attachment misalignment. The LC console is highlighting threats based on faulty Iblis commands.
And why is that happening?
It happens when the NAFS attaches its fundamental sense of safety, its iman, to a human or a job or any other apparition, instead of ceding that authority to the governor.
And because apparitions are inherently temporary and dynamic, they move, they change, they leave. So when that thing shifts, the NAFS loses its systemic security.
Correct. The anxiety is the system screaming that its foundation is unstable. The solution isn't to stabilize the apparition. You can't. It's to stabilize the NAFS command sequence through solid.
Pulling the energy away from the fear-based reactions.
Exactly. Into the stable right hemisphere for correct processing.
What about physical suffering? Like an accident or an illness. In many frameworks, that's seen as a punishment.
The framework strongly refutes the idea of random punishment. An accident is the universe providing necessary resistance for testing the NAFs. It is the game designer's way of providing a developmental quest that defines your capacity, your wusaha.
And the system guarantees you are never burdened beyond that usaha.
Never.
So suffering, or the friction we call usur, it's not punitive, it's diagnostic. It's showing the NAFs exactly where its current capacity level is.
And where the polishing needs to happen. It's the refining fire. The choice for the NAFs is how it responds to that diagnostic. Does it use the resistance for healing and growth? Or does it retreat into despair?
The accident itself is neutral. The outcome is governed by the NAFS's choice.
Entirely.
Let's pivot to material apparitions. Say I have a strong desire for a shiny new phone, or let's go big, a Toyota Tundra. This sounds like pure materialism on the surface.
But governance looks at the purpose of the apparition, not the object itself.
Okay.
The phone, for instance, isn't inherently good or bad. Its purpose could be to enable communication, research, distribute knowledge. It can be a sophisticated tool for zakat.
The effective transfer of purified knowledge.
Yeah. So the question isn't, do I want the Tundra? But what purpose does the Tundra serve in my capacity to perform zakat?
Ah, okay. The Tundra protocol.
Exactly. If the desire is governed by salat, meaning patience, proper budgeting, discipline, avoiding debt, the Tundra becomes a source of iman, of safety, because it enhances your capacity. If that desire is rushed by iblaze, driven by impatience or ego, and results in debt, it becomes a source of kurs, loss and suffering. The object just reflects the integrity of the command sequence that acquired it.
To audit these apparitions, then, whether it's a chore or a tundra, we need that non negotiable framework. Let's formally introduce the 10 elements of Dean, the DD.
Yes, this is the primary analytical tool. The DDEAN is the definitive governance manual. It includes elements like terminology, roles, rules, policies, all of it. If you want to extract Alhawk from any apparition, you must run it through these 10 elements.
Yep. And the sources show that the most common, everyday apparitions, often treated just as rituals, are actually high fidelity governance commands that execute this protocol constantly. Let's look at Sir Alphatia.
Alphatia is the perfect command template. Notice that it asks only for governance, not for wealth, not for health, not for objects. It starts by seating authority, defining the essential input state. You alone do we accept as a source of knowledge or guidance. This immediately stabilizes the roles and authority element of the DDEAN.
It sets the primary relationship, governor and governed.
Yes. And only once that authority is seated does it iterate. Request the protocol. Guide us to the methodology for self-correction.
It's the ultimate non-emotional request through the Salat programming language.
Submission to receive corrected instructions. A full systemic audit.
Then you have Ayatul Kursi, another everyday apparition. It's often translated as the throne verse. What is the governance truth of Kursi in this lexicon?
In the governance framework, Kursi means cognition capacity. It is the critical interface between the nafs, the operator, and its worldview, or arsh.
So when you recite Ayatul Kursi,
You're constantly recalibrating and strengthening your cognitive processing power. You're ensuring your internal system, your capacity, your wusaha, is robust enough to handle the guidance and the apparitions it receives.
so these everyday apparitions are performing a complete systems audit built into a short daily practice. Al-Fatiha checks authority and rules. Ayatul Kursi checks capacity and worldview stability. This is so much more than rote recitation.
The entire system is built for the learner.
Yeah.
And the big realization here is the necessary shift away from standard rational thinking, or RT,
Why is RT so flawed?
because it's based on incomplete human data, and it's extremely susceptible to Iblis, your internal bias structure.
And instead, we embrace governance, where we recognize the body and mind not as the source of truth, but as a governed apparition interface.
Absolutely. When the sources referred to conditions like chaos, addiction, or what modern psychology might call EUPD, they are describing a nafs that is ungoverned or misaligned.
Your reality isn't inherently hard.
No, it is simply an apparition waiting for a clear, governed command.
So the path to overcoming chaos is not simply to be stable by willpower alone, but to be governed, to use the 10 elements of Dean to stabilize your command sequence and receive clean instructions.
The truth revealed in these sources is that the greatest source of suffering, the trial, the USR, is not the friction itself. It's the choice to resist the polishing.
That resistance.
That resistance creates the internal conflict, which then manifests as external chaos.
So what immediate Iblis command? What specific flaw, what bias, what piece of faulty logic are you choosing to resist changing in your life right now?
That single choice, whether to submit to the friction or fight it, determines the shape and the severity of your next apparition. That's the deepest dive we can take today.